Am I diluting myself with my water filter that really does make the water in my kitchen taste better? Is it just tasting better, or am I getting out any of the chemicals that want to kill me?
I don't know how much of the taste is psychosomatic, but the water filter definitely does work. So one of the big issues, and you know, I mean, part of what's important to remember about this is that these aren't simple questions or simple problems. So let me give you an example of why the water filter is important and how difficult the problems are. One of the biggest issues that's in all drinking water is something called chlorination byproducts. Now, chlorination, as you know, is the process of cleaning water. So adding chlorine to water is really a good thing. But because water is so dirty now when it comes into plants, the chlorination process creates all of these new byproducts or chemicals that are carcinogens. So probably about 2,000 Americans a year get bladder cancer because of chlorine byproducts that are in their water. That's a statistic from the federal government. If you use a lot of the water filters, like the one that you're talking about that at home, it'll take out the chlorination byproducts. So it's great to use water filters. Everyone should use water filters. But the next question becomes, well, why should people have to use water filters in the first place? Why not just make the water system take out those chlorination byproducts? And the answer is that for the water system, they're kind of in this catch-22. If they don't add the chlorine, then bacteria is in the water. If they add the chlorine, then there's chlorination byproducts. To remove the chlorination byproducts, they have to put in these huge, very expensive filters. And the only way that they can pay for those filters is by charging you more for your water. But when they try and charge you and any of us more for our water, we all say, look, water should be a basic right. I can't believe you're charging us more for this. And people get very upset. So the problem is that there's a lot of complicated questions around here. But to answer your question in a long-winded way, yeah, the water filter is great. You should continue using it. Just make sure that you change it regularly,
Right.
because if it gets clogged up with bad stuff, it actually pollutes your water more.
Have you looked at bottled water at all?
Not really, although I've read some of the research that's out there.
Do you think the bottled water is contaminated with chemicals?
The, the, the answer is yes, sometimes. So one of the hard things about bottled water is that there's no standards, right? There's no law that says a bottled water has to be X or Y. So some bottled water is literally tap water that's just been put in a bottle and sold to you. It has the same things in it that tap water does. Other bottled water has been filtered. Some of it has been filtered using very primitive filtering systems. Some of it has been filtered using reverse osmosis, which basically removes everything bad. But it's because this is complicated stuff, they usually don't put that on the label. And so consumers need to kind of do a little bit of research. But there are websites out there that will basically tell you which bottled water is clean and which isn't.
Are there ways to test your home water, like your tap water, with a home testing kit? Or do you have to send it out or ask for a
Absolutely.
report? Yeah.
There's a lot of resources out there. So if you just Google home water testing, you'll be able to find lots of ways to test your own water in your home. There's a lot of laboratories that for relatively little money, you can take a water sample and you can send it to them. Every state, if you call the local water system, they'll usually recommend some laboratories to you. Particularly if you drink water from a well, you have to test your water once a year.
Hmm.
Municipal water systems are a little bit safer. Wells get polluted very quickly and very dangerously. So if you're drinking well water, definitely get your water tested once a year. The other thing I would mention is that there's a lot of resources at your water system about your water if you're on municipal water. So if you call up your water system, and usually they have this stuff online, you can demand that they give you the CCR, which is the Consumer Confidence Report, and that will tell you all of the pollutants that have been detected over the past year.
One last question, Charles. What kind of water do you drink?
I drink tap water. We have
Yeah.
I have
Yep.
an 18-month-old son, and we use a water filter, just one of the pitcher water filters that you can get inexpensively at almost any store. But all of the water that we drink goes through the filter, and I change the filter regularly. And we drink tap water. And it's important to remember that for all the issues that we have, most of the 90% of the water in America is clean when you drink it. And there are ways to protect against the other 10%. but we should be better as a nation. And the way that hopefully we will become better is that more people will care about their water quality and will call up their local politicians and demand it, because water really is a local issue. It's not the type of thing that Washington has to act on. If 30 people call their water system and say, I'm concerned about X, that'll be like 28 more calls than they usually get in a year.
Well, Charles Duhigg, it's really been great to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for your incredible reporting.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it.
Charles Duhigg is writing the New York Times series Toxic Waters. His series spurred a House committee hearing on enforcement of the Clean Water Act. At the hearing, which was held last Thursday on the 37th anniversary of the act, the new head of the EPA, Lisa Jackson, said that the agency would overhaul enforcement of the Clean Water Act. Duhigg is working on another article for the Toxic Water series. It will be about old urban sewer systems that have proven inadequate and are leading to sewage overflows, polluting beaches and waterways, and flooding basements and homes. This is Fresh Air.